Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Woke Tarot. I'm so excited to be doing another reading for you guys today. Doing things a little bit differently today. We are discussing what it is that could be blocking the things that you are trying to manifest in your life today. We are going to be discussing the process of manifestation for each particular spread, anything that we need to adjust in that regard, and the things that you might not be aware of that are blocking your blessings, whether that is consciously or unconsciously, right? We're going to be jumping into that for each particular spread. I have printed out a couple of different blockages for you to pick from. And what I would like for you to do is to take a moment, pause the video if you need to breathe and ask yourself the question about what it is that you are trying to manifest. Now, this could be one thing, this could be several things. Take a moment to take a couple of deep breaths and put those things that you are trying to manifest in your life into the center of your mind and into the center of your spirit. And when you think about these things, when you have settled with the things that you are trying to manifest, and when you have settled with the things that you want for yourself in your life, I want you to try to connect with any feelings of anxiety, of worry, anything that takes you off the path of focusing on that thing that you want to manifest. Anything that gives you a bad feeling in the pit of your stomach. And once you've located that feeling, I want you to open your eyes and take a look at the blockages that I have presented here on the board today, and pick whichever one seems to resonate with the feeling, any negative feelings, right, that you feel when you focus on your life in the future and the things that you are trying to bring towards it. I have 4 blockages here for you to choose from. The first is a stop sign that says emergency vehicles only, and this is pile number 1. The second is a yield sign that says pedestrian crossing. This is pile number 2. The third is a detour sign, which is pile number 3. And the fourth is this little roadblock sign. It's a bit of a mixture of a stop sign and a roadblock. And this is for pile number 4. Now, as always, these pick a card readings are general readings, so they're not going to resonate with everybody. They are designed for a large group of people, for the collective. If you would like a personal reading, please feel free to reach out to me on my website at www.wokewitchtarot.com, or by contacting me on my social media listed up above. All right? Alrighty. Once you have identified the pile that you resonate the most with, feel free to either fast forward to the timestamp that you see listed somewhere over here, or feel free to also jump to the timestamps as I have them listed down below, where they are clickable, and you can just click on that pile and the video will automatically jump you there. All right? Alrighty, I will see you on the other side for whichever pile you picked. Alrighty, if you picked blockage number 1, the stop, emergency vehicles only sign, then this is the reading for you on what it is that is knowingly or unknowingly blocking your manifestations. This could be in regards to process, right? How it is that we are manifesting these things into our life, or this could be in regards to something conscious or subconscious that we're holding on to that is blocking this particular blessing. I'm going to jump into some tarot, try to figure out what it is things perhaps that you're trying to manifest, right? And the things that are blocking that. And then we'll jump into some affirmations and an oracle card at the end for your particular pile. Right off the bat, this particular stop sign, the fact that it says emergency vehicles only is very glaring to me. And the reason that I mention that is because there is something very distinct about a path that is only made for emergency vehicles. Clearly, what it is that you are trying to manifest is something that you believe will be good for you, that will be good for your life, for your future. It is something that you desire, and there is a particular reason why you desire this thing. But the fact that the road that leads to this thing is marked emergency vehicles only tells me something, and you'll have to let me know if this resonates with you. There is a very famous quote by a gentleman named Jordan Belfort. And if you don't know who that is the main character in the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. Now, I am not telling you to be him. I think he ended up in prison. Okay, so pile number one, do not get yourself in trouble, okay? But he has a very interesting quote about our desires, about our goals, and about our dreams. And one of the things that he says is, I want you to back yourself into a corner. I want you to put yourself into a corner so that you have no other choice but to succeed, but to work for that thing that you want so desperately in your life. And the fact that your particular stop sign has this saying, emergency vehicles only on this path forward, certainly brings that quote to mind. It very much makes me feel like perhaps this thing that you desire, these things that you want to bring into your reality, to stop wishing for and to start doing, these particular things, perhaps you can only access the courage to travel down this road in the event of an emergency. Now, of course, as always, I try to deliver messages in the most loving and compassionate manner possible. And I find that this saying of emergency vehicles only, it's not a bad thing to be afraid of change. If we were not afraid of change, if that wasn't a part of the human experience, we would all be changing and evolving all the time. So I wonder, pile number one, if the only way to push yourself towards this goal is in a state of emergency, when it is time to break the glass, right? Now, certainly there are times in our life where we have to break the glass, like if there's a fire, right? We're going to break the glass and we're going to get the fire axe, or we're going to get the fire extinguisher out, or we're going to pull the fire alarm. But sometimes human beings are more motivated by fear than they are the beautiful bounties that we can bring into our world. And I wonder if you are in that place where only through extreme pain can you surmise the courage to go after what it is that you're looking for. And that is obviously something that we need to work on, right? All of us need to work on it, even the people that didn't pick this pile. So don't feel bad about it. I need to work on this as well, okay? What I'm getting at is not to put yourself in a fire, but to understand if a part of the reason that you're not taking action, that you are afraid to manifest this thing, is the idea of disturbing your own comfort. Even if your comfortable space is a place that actually makes you quite uncomfortable. Sometimes we can stay stagnant in a place because it is the same. And there is something about the same, however boring, however painful, however heartbreaking it can be to remain stagnant. At least it's something that we know. And I find that this idea that emergency vehicles only are allowed on this particular road, on this particular path, perhaps that could be a nod to the fact that we need to find a way to motivate ourselves and to not only want these things for ourselves when we're in a moment of disarray, of panic. It's best, right? It's very much like the Tower card in the tarot. When we make changes on our own that we know are good for us, that we know needed to be made a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, decades ago, right? When we force the universe to bring the Tower, it's much more painful than it would have been to say, you know what, I don't need to wait for a situation to get so bad that I have no choice but to move. I am worth more than that. I respect myself more than that. I can move forward on this road right now. No emergency needed. Very, very interesting. Obviously, if I get anything more from this particular stop sign, I will mention it. But I'd like to move on to the cards and see what we can pick up for on the tarot cards for your pile specifically, okay? As you know, I typically only take jumpers and flippers, so I always ask that people be patient with me during the shuffle. For pile number 1, please. For my emergency vehicles, my first responders here, what is it that is blocking manifestation? For pile number 1, please. What is blocking manifestation? For pile number 1, please. What is blocking manifestation? For pile number 1, please. What is blocking manifestations, please? For pile number 1. I almost said child number 1, which is, I always say there are no coincidences in my readings. You could be afraid of having a family, of being close to a child, of going back into your childhood self to fix something, to work on something, to do shadow work in regards to something that affected you when you were young. Very, very interesting. Yeah, this could be something that started to develop in your childhood. The reason that I say that is because we have the Ace of Wands here at the bottom of the deck, this idea of something new. Typically with aces, there's something quite exciting about a new beginning, right? I see a lot of readers, they'll write, you've aced it, when people pull a lot of aces, and sure, change is exciting, unless it puts you in this place of panic, like, oh no, something's changing, something's different. This is very much outside of my comfort zone. Anything new takes me to the edge. How will I make it past this thing that is unknown to me, okay? This could be in regards to love. You could be blocking a blessing in regards to love, in regards to passion, in regards to a creative endeavor, or even in regards to a crush, right? Only when you see that crush finally talking to somebody else will you be like, okay, now it's time to act. It's an emergency now. The fire is lit, and I have no more time to meander. It's time for me to speak. So this could be kind of what's going on, okay? The Ace of Wands here is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. We also have Pisces and Cancerian energy here with the moon, fire energy with the King of Wands, Earth with the Six of Pentacles, and the Seeker card here, which to me as a reader is very much Virgo-like energy. I always say that this card, a very special card in the deck, is like the Hermit on steroids, okay? Now, we start here with the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck. What is it that we can manifest if we don't know what it is that we're manifesting? With this Ace of Wands, I see very much that we need to focus very deeply on what it is that we are manifesting. The first step to manifestation is finding something that you want, finding that thing that will bring you to life, that will light your flame, like this Ace of Wands, that feels sexy and new, that gets your loins going, right? The Ace of Wands is something quite phallic, right? And that makes you passionate. Perhaps you're in a place in your life where you feel like I've lost connection with that thing, with my Ace of Wands? What is it that will light me back on fire? That will bring me back from the dead? What is this thing that I know that I am clearly searching for with the Seeker card here? What is that thing? What is that flame? We need to start with that. And when we do, when we find that thing that lights our flame, a process that we can find in many ways, by watching a movie, by watching a television show. I know that sounds a bit silly, right? To sit and to watch something to get inspiration, but there's a reason that movies, that music, that art, that all of these things exist, because they are supposed to make you feel something. In fact, that is the literal definition of art, is anything that makes you feel something. So perhaps we need to take a moment to look at the things that we find sexy, the things that when we look at an episode of The Real Housewives, if we see a location in Paris and we're like, wow, there's something really intriguing about that. Why? Why? If you see a great love story in a movie, wow, I want that in my life. We can find many sources of inspiration to find our Ace of Wands, that one thing that we decide, oh wow, I feel a stirring in my soul when I think about the possibility of this thing coming to me. So step one is figuring out what that is, what it is that will light your flame on fire. And interestingly enough, I'm getting this message that step two for you would certainly be this idea of trying to understand that every journey has a step one. You might find yourself easily frustrated by the idea that you can accomplish something, but there's 500 steps to do it. And the idea of 500 steps is too overwhelming, so you put it in a cupboard and you try to convince yourself. I'm getting those words specifically. You try to convince yourself that this is something that you actually never wanted, even though you know deep down that it is. You put it in a cupboard and you hope that that thing that you have hidden away doesn't whisper to you any longer to say, hey, remember when you wanted me? But these things never go away. Now, it is very easy to get dissuaded, to fall off track at the idea that a goal has so many intricate steps. But every manifestation starts with one step. First, you have to know what it is. Then you have to believe that it is possible. You have to ask the universe for it. And then you have to take your first step of action, be it picking up a paintbrush, right? If this is something creative, taking out a piece of paper and writing out whatever thoughts that you have if you want to be a writer. Typing I love myself or something that simple into a typewriter if you want to be a writer, right? Writing a script for a 200-word short video if you want to be a YouTuber, if this is something creative, okay? Planning out what is it that I would say to this person, to my crush, if I had no choice but to depart onto this emergency road, okay? And I had to speak to them. What would I say? There is a first step. And it might seem like the journey is impossible. But every journey is a series of steps taken consistently. And realizing that every day we can take one step, one wand, towards the things that light us on fire. Not getting distracted and not getting disheartened by the fact that a process isn't as easy as snapping our fingers and the wand appearing. I want you to know one reassuring thing, pile number one, or ace number one in this case, right? The universe wants to give this wand to you. It hands it to you here. All you have to do is look up, see it, decide that you want it, and take the first step. It will wait here for you. The universe sits here with this wand for you in the distance. Will you look up? Will you realize that you want it? And then will you want it enough to take the first step to get it? It looks far away, but actually it's very, very close up. Okay, the process might seem daunting, but you know, you've got water for the journey. We see the water here. Take as many steps as it's needed, and do one every day if that helps with the idea of your passion, of your spark, of your flame being far away. Okay, now this could certainly have to do with passion, right? With a creative endeavor. It could have to do with love here, with somebody that sets your soul on fire, that you want to unleash your beast on with this King of Wands. You want to let this lion go and to find the strength, to let your strength go in the face of a road that seems like it's built only for emergency vehicles. To that I would say, if this road wasn't built for you, it would not have been built for you. The universe would not taunt you with this road if it wasn't meant for you. It is time to claim this road that the universe has set in front of you. Okay? Now, with the moon card, I had mentioned my little slip of the tongue at the beginning of the reading, and I had mentioned child by accident. Okay? As I had said, perhaps this is a fear that began to develop as a child, or perhaps this is a person or a passion that you are revisiting from your past, from your childhood. Okay? With the moon card here, we're very much reminded of a couple things. First, the things that keep us up at night, right? The things that whisper to us in the dark that we cannot put away, as much as we try to say, no, it's too scary to go down this road. Let me pretend like I can't hear your whisper calling to me that I want this thing, right? This very much brings to mind the feelings of the things that lie in our subconscious, the fears, the things that drive us insane, the worry that we keep below the surface that we fail to address. One thing that I love about this particular representation of the moon, we have this dark imagery here, and these dogs bark at the moon, this idea of insanity. I like this because first, the act of barking in and of itself, this idea of asking your self-conscious mind, your subconscious mind, excuse me, perhaps you're too self-conscious to ask for this thing, right? Perhaps you have some fears that are saying you're not the type of person that this stuff happens for, right? That could have been why I said self-conscious there instead of subconscious. To ask the mind, to ask your psyche, your own intuition. You're having at least the courage here to have the conversation. Perhaps it's time to have this conversation with your intuition. Get into a meditative flow and say, what am I afraid of? What are the things that go bump in the night in regards to this thing that I desire that can lead to this beautiful celebration, this beautiful moment of happiness here, with the Three of Cups underneath our Ace of Wands, okay? It's time to bark. And it's time to ask, as I had mentioned, the idea that you need to say this like a prayer. You need to bark this to the moon until you are barking mad, okay? There's something about repetition, as they say. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. Certainly the moon can sometimes speak of that, right? Not that you're insane, but just the literal meaning of the card here, okay? I see this very much as the possibility that it's time to bark. Who are the doggies in pile number one that are going to bark, that are going to say, this is what I want? Moon, universe, intuition, right? Subconscious mind. We can achieve this through affirmations by constantly saying, this is what I want. Universe is bringing this to me. I claim this thing that I'm not afraid of it anymore. I claim that this road is built for me. If it wasn't, the universe would not put it in front of me. And I am claiming that road now. And I know that I have the strength, that I have the courage to ask for this thing. That's the first step. I am barking at the moon. I am praying for this blessing. And I am doing it every day, over and over and over again, in repetition until this thing is mine. Very, very beautiful. Now, again, talking perhaps, right, barking perhaps about this idea of what could be lodged from our childhood in our subconscious mind about, you need to be afraid of this road. Is there something from when you were young that perhaps is digging deep into the subconscious that you need to almost confront, like these dogs? They're almost vicious about the way that they speak, like, hey, you, it's time for you to get out of my mind. I have no use for you anymore. And I need you out of here. Okay, perhaps it's time for you to get barking mad at that little voice that says, no, 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 you're not equipped to go down this road. And it's time for you to say, excuse me, I have 4 legs. I'm a good girl. I'm a good boy, right? Like all dogs are. And I am equipped for this journey. I don't just have 2 legs, I have 4. I have everything that I need to drive down this road within me. I already have that, okay? Again, a reference perhaps of talking out loud, or even just to yourself about the things that are stuck in our subconscious mind, that are blocking us from believing that we even deserve that thing. As I had mentioned, affirmations, listening to affirmations over and over again, certainly could help in that regard, okay? With our King of Wands here, this fire energy, again, you already have the things that you have within you to make this thing happen. You just have to let it off the leash. It's funny, as I had mentioned this thing about these dogs almost being like ferocious. Like I'm unapologetic about what I want at this point, right? I have that much pent up frustration about not getting what it is that I want, or not trying to manifest it because I doubt that it is possible for me, or I wait and I hesitate until I have no other choice to make this thing happen for myself. I get this, who let the dogs out? In this case, it's like, who's going to let the lion out? Only you can let your lion off its leash. This lion is within you. It is a part of you. It is a part of this King of Wands. You just have to let it go. You have to let it jump. I see this lion as strength. You have to release the strength. Let it off its leash to confront anything that is a subconscious fear or a subconscious doubt that is blocking this thing from you. And the first step, again, is unleashing your lion and asking for the thing, asking the moon, asking the cosmos for what it is that you want. This could certainly have to do with somebody that you're lusting after. And it could have to do with shadow work, things that you want to release, but the road to those things is quite scary, quite bumpy when we're confronting ourselves in the dark here, okay? With the Six of Pentacles, there's this idea of balance. I love this here. First, notice that we have this Ace of Wands, okay? And this idea of one. Perhaps we're trying to manifest too many things at once. And sometimes it's okay to say, look, this other passion, right? My other Ace of Wands. Or my others, as in plural. Maybe you have 20 things that you want to manifest into your life. I am going to manifest you, but I can't manifest you right now. I'm going to manifest you in the future. Right now, I have something else that needs my attention a little bit more. And that's not to say that I don't love you. That's not to say that I don't want you. And that's not to say that I'm not coming for you in the future. It's just that this wand, this is the one that the universe is telling me to take at the moment. And perhaps in the middle of my journey to this wand, I will have the time, I will have the resources, I will have the energy to pick other wand up, okay? But for now, I need to focus on this wand. Don't stretch yourself too thin is what I'm getting here. Perhaps this idea of focusing on one wand at a time right now is the message that you should be receiving from this particular reading. Sometimes we need to just do one thing, accomplish one thing, no matter how small. Just set that wheel of momentum going, right? To get us moving. To say, oh my goodness, I accomplished something. And that, the joy of that is enough to propel us forward to the next thing. Okay, very much this idea of not stretching ourselves too thin on what it is that we are asking for. Now, the universe is grand, right? If we asked for 20 things and we stayed consistent with it, I don't doubt that the universe would give that to you. But perhaps you're finding that I kind of want to focus my energy on this one thing. The universe isn't limiting, but we are mere mortals. we do have some limits, right? There's only so long that we can hold our breath underwater, and it's okay to acknowledge these perfectly normal human limitations, all right? So perhaps focusing on one thing at a time as we build ourselves like these pentacles towards ascension, towards material abundance, towards a promotion, towards more money, towards anything in the financial or material realm, like these pentacles certainly signify. Okay, these butterflies, I always mention on this card, there's butterflies of transformation. Perhaps it's time to focus on one change at a time, one transformation at a time. Oftentimes when we decide we want to make one change in our life, we stampede change. We say, my life is going to be completely different. I'm going to do 50 things tomorrow that I never did before, and they're all going to go smooth, and nothing's going to go wrong, and I'm going to be a completely different person. And how often does that work out, right? For those of us that have tried it, guilty, right? A way to build habits is one pentacle at a time, right? They say that a habit has to be repeated consistently. I think it's at least 21 times before that thing becomes a habit. Right? So if we want to repeat something 21 times for it to become a habit, perhaps for you it'll only take 6 times, right? Because we only have 6 pentacles here. Okay. Perhaps if we focus, right? If we focus on building one consistent habit several times, then we have a greater chance of success with this thing. Okay, and then once we've repeated this thing 21 times, or however many times you feel until it sticks for you, then we can add something else. Okay, then we can add something else to the process. We're not spreading ourselves too thin. We're building pentacle by pentacle towards this beautiful change, towards this elevation, this ascension of ourselves from our former selves. The last thing that I get from here is this idea that you don't have to go it alone. The 6 of Pentacles, when we look at the traditional imagery of that card, is it's one about charity. It's one about somebody giving, right? A person gives to 2 beggars in that traditional imagery, and this idea that you don't have to do it yourself. Where is it in your process of manifestation, of bringing this thing to you? Do you need to ask for the universe to give you more help, right? Do you ask your friends, your colleagues, your family members for help? Because this celebration isn't one that is done alone with this 3 of Cups here. It is one that is done in a group. Perhaps it is time for us to collaborate in this great change. Perhaps it's time for us to ask for help from others, which I think is quite interesting. Now, regardless of what it is that you're trying to manifest here, shadow work, love, lust, a crush, a partner in love, right? A creative endeavor, or an increase in your finances, in your work, finding that dream job that lights you on fire, your purpose, okay? Regardless of what that thing is, there's something about charity here. One of my favorite phrasings for affirmations is, I am, for example, if we're trying to manifest love, the idea of, I give love, and all the love that I give comes back to me 100-fold. There's something about charity in an affirmation like that, in a manifestation like that. Right? There is something about, if I give it, I will receive it back 10-fold. So perhaps there is something that you can give. There is some form of charity. If you are asking for fire, for passion, perhaps you can help somebody else achieve that thing. And perhaps that's why we get this this notion of togetherness, of a group effort, right? Because when you give, it's like networking, right? You do a favor, you scratch somebody's back, and when you least expect it, they scratch yours. Or when you really need it, they scratch yours, they reciprocate. I can see this as reciprocation with the universe specifically, right? In asking for help. Instead of just saying, I alone am strong enough. There are days where it's okay to say, hey, universe, I could really use some help here, right? I really need this from you. Please provide it. I know that you will. I'm so grateful that you are providing this thing, this asset, this tool, this money that I need in the future, and you're doing it quickly and easily, right? Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are some things that perhaps are to be celebrated in a group effort. Okay, the last card here that you have is the card of the Seeker. I love that your spread ends here. I love that your spread ends here with the Seeker, because this very much it reminds me of the saying that what we seek is seeking us, right? What you seek is seeking you. Now, there is something about the way that this Seeker seeks in particular that is quite profound. Notice that this is the card of action, of going out into the world and getting that thing that you want, right? This Seeker is on a journey. I always say it's like the Hermit card, except it's the Hermit on steroids. This particular Seeker has done the work to seek in the intuition and to find what it is that resonates with me and what it is that I fear that is stopping me from getting on this road, from traveling down this path. Now, as this Seeker does this, it's not just within the cave, it is outside in the world. The Hermit is very much an internal card, right? We're doing searching with our own inner light, with our own inner lantern, within something, within a cocoon, a safe space, right? Within ourselves. This particular Seeker does it out in the world, as in he takes action. Doesn't matter if you're male or female, it's just the gender on the card, okay? He takes action towards his desires. He takes the steps down the road that says emergency vehicles only, not literally, metaphorically. Gotta be careful with how I deliver these messages. He takes the steps, and he does so on the journey so fervently and so completely ingrained in the idea that this thing with each step draws closer to him, that it's like worship. Notice that he is on his knees, and his devotion to this thing, it's almost like he prays to it. It is almost like he worships this thing. And because he spends so much time praying and worshiping and walking towards this thing with this almost religious belief, okay, regardless of if you're religious or not, with this religious belief towards this thing that he wants, he bends the universe towards his will with his deep want for the thing that he is looking for. And that is what you are being called to do, to seek this thing so fervently, so courageously, so boldly, and to put it so in the forefront of your mind that it becomes a part of your subconscious, that the universe has no choice but to bend to your will. The atmosphere has no choice but to bend to your desires. You have to want it that badly. To remind yourself every day of the path, right? And to every day say, I am taking another step. No matter how afraid I am taking another step on the path. And when I show the receipts, when I back my desires up with actions, the universe has no choice but to give me what I want. Because I have let this lion off the leash, right? And lions typically get what they want, right? They are the king of the jungle for a reason, okay? They are ferocious. They take what they claim, the prey, the whatever it is that they want. They go after it without fear, knowing I am the king of the jungle. And what I want, the universe wants for me too, okay? A very, very beautiful message. We're not done yet. I'd like to pull an affirmation for you. Perhaps something to keep at the forefront of your mind, to say to yourself over and over again as you work to manifest this beautiful thing into your life. You could even be trying to manifest travel with the idea of the seeker, a move perhaps, right? With this idea of a journey, okay? For pile number one, please. I keep getting that first responder. You could certainly be a first responder, but like a nurse or a firefighter or something like that, right? But I almost get this idea of like a first responder very much is in the service and the care of others. There's a reason that they call them first responders, because they rise to the challenge first. They show up. I was as we passed the anniversary of September 11th, I was reading some information about that day and kind of reminiscing on the events that had transpired that day. And I had heard that it took, if I'm not mistaken, 5 seconds for New York first responders to respond to the 9/11 attacks, okay? And I almost feel like there is an emergency here. Obviously, I'm not saying that to take anything away from that day, okay? Or to relate this in any way to that day. But the example of perhaps there is an emergency in your life. There is an emergency in your life, and it's time for you to be your first responder. How long are you going to take to respond to your own emergency? Something interesting that came into my mind, something perhaps to think about, right? For pile number one, please, an affirmation for pile number one regarding their blessings. I almost said pile number run, R-U-N. Perhaps it's time to not walk, but to run. The King of Wands moves passionately and quickly towards the things that they desire. Perhaps you need to be pile number run, as in it's time to run to this thing that you're trying to manifest, right? No time like the present. Why be great tomorrow when you can be great today? Peacefulness, interesting. Certainly brings up this imagery of the moon card here. Just holding this up for my screenshotters, okay? Peacefulness. I have a peace, tranquil, and untroubled heart. This is where I choose to spend my time. Yeah, we can't spend time in the dark. We have to, or otherwise we manifest more darkness, more insanity, more fear, right? With this moon card. We have to be peaceful, tranquil, and untroubled in our hearts. We have to move towards the light. We have to build our own little wagon in the light, right? I can bring guests, but any person, thought, or event that brings drama or chaos is not invited. My heart is a special property, and I'm going to keep it that way so we can all keep enjoying it, and I can get my security deposit back. This very much gives me that visual of the idea of being your own first responder, keeping yourself safe, right? Also, any doubts, any negative things that come into our mind, reminding ourselves, I have a peaceful, tranquil, and untroubled heart. I choose to spend my time in my peaceful, tranquil, and untroubled heart, right? Something to think about, okay? Very, very beautiful affirmation for you. Last thing, I'm going to pull an oracle card for any message that the universe wants to give you right now regarding the things that you are trying to manifest. A beautiful oracle deck, but sometimes finicky, so please be patient. For pile number one, please, what message do you want pile number one to know about the things that they are trying to manifest right now, universe? For pile number one, please, what do you want pile number one to know about the things that they are trying to manifest right now, universe? For pile number one, please. You've pulled an elemental card. Very, very interesting. Here is this card in the event that you would like to screenshot it. I always get questions about what deck this is, and this is the Supra Oracle deck. I always list all the cards that I use down in the description below, okay? I'm going to pull the book out for you if you are interested in how to spell Supra. There it is for you, okay? I love this particular deck because the book that accompanies it gives very vital keywords to the message for the particular card, okay? Just going to that page for you. One moment, please. All right. Phenomena. Life entered with its own exalted and intrinsic form. Anonymous and prim of all, its inspired vocabulary is unknowable, yet its magnetic whisperings can descend into the heart of all matter. Speaking of the heart, right? Cradling and nurturing and gestating in the indifferent night, the magical light of creation. Your key words here are magic, action, conception, form, and matter. I've got to kind of break this down a little bit, okay? Because there's so many connections with the oracle card that you've picked, with the message that we find, okay? First, this idea of its inspired vocabulary is unknowable, as in our desires, our wants, right? Our intricate knowing that we can achieve anything truly, right? Except we let the world, the doubts, the whispers get in the way. I love that it says that this inspired vocabulary is unknowable, yet its magnetic whisperings can descend into the heart of all matter. In other words, these things that we allow within us, okay, the doubt, the naysayers, the negative self-talk, right, the restrictions that we put on our own capabilities, okay, although we might not know it, we do. Although we might not be aware, we are. It's all in this subconscious part of our mind. And we can work to dig that out. But we can also work to feed new whispers into this space. We can feed new information. We can rewire the brain. I almost said rewire. Again, this teamwork. Perhaps this is done with a team or with a therapist or with a psychologist, right? We can rewire those things. For every negative thought that we believe in ourselves, how did that negative thought get into our minds? Because we certainly weren't born with it. When we were young, we were free. We didn't think about all these heavy, weighty things that contradict our own humanness, right? We were taught these things. We heard these things. And if we can hear things, if we can see things that teach us negative things about ourselves, then you better believe that we can hear and see and teach ourselves positive things that can erase those negative, that can rewire our brain in a more positive way. Okay? The last thing that I'll mention is this idea of cradling and nurturing and gestating in the indifferent night. I see this as tossing and turning. Perhaps you've been doing a little bit of your own tossing and turning, feeling a bit indifferent, like, what's this all for? What am I doing with my life, right? A mind that is not exercised is a mind that is very difficult to put to rest. If you notice, when you languish, when you spend your days lazying away, and not fully working your mind, right? Stimulating your brain, it is harder to sleep on those days. But the days that you're super busy, the days that you keep yourself, even if it's just in a book, right? You keep your mind working. Those are the days that offer you the best night's rest. Funny how that works, right? This is almost to say that to keep whispers in your mind, to keep your mind active on these things. If there's a period of stagnancy in your day, go through your vision board. Go through a journal, write down, these are the things that I want. Do it every day. These are the 5 things that I'm manifesting right now. keep your brain active with the whispers of the things that you want. And that will cure this indifference, this feeling of perhaps apathy, of boredom with your own life. It will get you excited again. It will light this flame. It will it will arouse you about your own life again. The key words again, magic. You are magic, right? Action. Let's start taking the steps. The first step is finding out what I'm passionate about. What lights me on fire? The second step is believing that it can be mine and asking for it. Asking for it 50 times a day. If that is what settles the whispers of the voices that say, no, this isn't possible, right? And then taking action, taking the first step, that first ace, moving towards that Ace of Wands. Conception, this idea that you can build the life that you want, you can create these things that you desire. Form, you are already in the form. You are already the matter. You are already the thing that is strong enough to travel down this emergency road. You are already gifted as your own first responder. It's time to heal yourself. It is time to travel this road. It is time to bring these beautiful blessings into your reality. Wow. Alrighty, I started preaching there a little bit. Sorry about that. Pile number 1, that was your reading. I hope so much that you enjoyed it. I'm very curious to see what you think about this particular reading. Let me know in the comments what it is that you're trying to manifest, what you feel is blocking your own manifestations, what you're going to do, what you are going to do in order to push forward and become the seeker of your own reality, right? They say that work is worship. What are you worshiping, right? What are you going to worship now? As always, I'm so grateful that you spent your time with me babbling on and on. I appreciate you choosing me and visiting my channel today. And hopefully I see you on the next video. Bye-bye. Alrighty, if you picked pile number 2, then this is the reading for you on what it is that is blocking your blessings or your manifestations. You have picked the stoppage or the blockage of the yield pedestrian crossing sign. And this sign is interesting in and of itself. The idea here is not one of necessarily stopping or blocking, but yielding. And I think that's a very important distinction for your particular blockage. This idea of having to wait perhaps, or having to slow down until something is out of the way, a blockage is out of the way. This idea of speed definitely comes to mind too, right? A pedestrian crossing is somewhere where you have to think of like a school zone, right? Where you have to slow down, where you have to be more vigilant, where you have to look at everything around you to make sure that nothing is going to pop out into the road that you could potentially hurt or that could hurt you, right? I also see here this idea of a pedestrian crossing and how it is that we move to the things that we're looking to manifest, or how it is that the things that we're looking to manifest move to us. What I mean by that is perhaps this is something that has to be gone to or has to be delivered to you in a way that perhaps you did not expect. Perhaps this is a blessing that comes on foot, or you have to be on foot to go to it. In other words, you have to become creative in the way that it is that you choose to manifest this goal. Our mode of transportation perhaps has to be altered to the thing or it to us, right? I also see something interesting here, and obviously we'll see how this plays out as we pull the cards out. I'm just kind of going off of what's triggering my intuition here. Perhaps the yield is this idea that at the moment, the cross guard, in this case, the universe, right? The cross guard is helping somebody that can't help themselves across the road. They are making way for somebody that needs more assistance than you at the moment. You are not forgotten. You are not stopped forever. The cross guard of the universe, right, is helping a child along, or is helping an elderly person along. And for now, perhaps there's a moment of wait, of observation, before we get to cross the road. And interestingly enough, I get this sense of like, what are you doing with the time in the meantime? Are you cursing at the stars because you have to wait for the universe to help somebody else cross the road? Or are you taking a moment to say, hey, you know what, this is a good opportunity to say my affirmations, or to ask the universe once again for the thing that I'm looking to draw into me, to breathe deep in and out, to be present in the moment, to be grateful that I'm not the one that needs the assistance at this time, that I'm in a place where I'm more comfortable, where I am stronger. Some things to think about, right? What are we doing with our time as we wait for the universe to help somebody else cross before us on their path because they need more assistance than we do? And do we recognize that there is a spirit of gratefulness that perhaps we should be embodying in that moment? That there are things that we can do ourselves, that we don't need the universe to hold our hand in this specific situation. Very, very, very interesting. Let's see what the cards have to say. Obviously, if we get anything more on the yield sign, we will come back to it. For pile number 2, please. What is blocking the manifestations for pile number 2, please? As you know, I typically only take jumpers and flippers, so please be patient with me, especially with some of the more special decks. They can be a little bit finicky at times. What is blocking manifestations for pile number 2, please? For pile number 2, please. What is blocking manifestation, please? That was the Knight of Wands. The Wheel of Fortune wanted to show its face there. As you know, I very rarely pull a card out unless I feel so compelled to do it, and in this case, I cannot ignore it, okay? I was going to say we'll mention it even without having it, but I can't put it down. One more card, please, for pile number 2, on what it is that is blocking manifestation, please. What is blocking manifestation for pile number 2, please? One more card, please, for pile number 2. All right, the High Priestess. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Eight of Wands. We have communication. Oftentimes, the Eight of Wands is considered Cupid's arrows, right? Flying through the sky here, looking to hit their intended target. There could be a lot of communication coming your way. You could be speaking to yourself internally quite a bit about this thing that you want to manifest. This could certainly be about love. This could be about hope, about our renewal in hope. It could be about moving somewhere new. That could be the thing that you're trying to manifest, moving somewhere else, or perhaps moving into a home, actually buying a home. And I also see here perhaps getting in deeper touch with our intuition, trusting our intuition, right? Those certainly could be some of the things that we're trying to develop. Obviously, as we go along, I'll mention anything else. We could even be trying to manifest some attention, either the actual stardom here with the star card, right? Actual stardom, this idea of being forward facing, of people recognizing your name, of you being recognized in a particular field. And of course, we could be trying to manifest love with the Knight of Wands and the Eight of Wands, trying to will somebody perhaps to get on their antelope here and come knocking on our door, willing a text message, trying to will the universe to get somebody to communicate with us that we think fondly of, or that we miss, or that we lust after, okay? Very, very interesting. Now, at the Eight of Wands here, being at the base of our deck, it's interesting because, as I had mentioned, this idea of yielding and the pedestrian crossing at the beginning, it very much makes me think about this idea of time. If something is a goal that takes time to bring forward to you, it takes time to manifest. It takes time to take the steps, the action that is required to make that thing come true. Perhaps we need to make sure that we're using the time that we have right now in the present, that we're not wasteful of that time, that we're not so focused on the future that we forget to be present in the moment. Your life can be quite fleeting. It can slip from your grip very quickly if we're constantly beating ourselves up about the past and focused on the future. We never get to enjoy the moment that we're in, okay? This idea of timing, of what we're doing with our time, what we're doing with our present moment, and how it is that we are communicating with ourselves and with the universe comes out very, very strongly here. So at the stop sign, while the universe is helping somebody else that might need a little bit more help across the road, are we listening to a podcast that helps us to learn more about the thing that we're trying to manifest? Are we saying affirmations to ourselves in order to concrete that desire into our mind? Are we calling around, asking our friends for help? What are we doing with the downtime, with the time that we're waiting, that we're yielding on this road to the thing that we want? I get this sense of during that wait, right? If you are trying to manifest something that could take a couple of months, it could even take a couple of years to bring into your reality. While you wait, are you letting the memory of that thing slip away from you? What I mean by that is, the less time that you spend refocusing your desire on this thing, saying, universe, bring this to me, let this arrow of this desire land on me specifically. As we go by our day-to-day, the less that we bring that up at the forefront of our minds, or even say it physically out loud, the less likely it is to come to us, because the universe thinks, well, it must not be that important to you, right? You have stopped asking for this. You have stopped praying for this. You have stopped communicating that this is something that you desire, that this is something that you want the universe to bring in from across the water or from the air, through the airwaves, right? So perhaps it's time for some communication to the universe, to yourself, to your own intuition with the High Priestess here, in order to put this back into the focus, your mind's center, okay? So that we get that same joyous oomph, that spirit, that flame lit up inside of us again. We need to speak it. With this Eight of Wands, we need to speak this. We need to speak it more often, because the time that we spend waiting is the time that we could spend with our minds distracted on the negative, on the wait itself, and those things are manifesting even more of a wait, right? Even more stagnation. We need to focus on how we communicate with ourselves while we wait for this thing to come. If our communication is based on, man, this is taking a lot of time, man, this is taking forever to come to me, guess how the universe rewards us for that, right? It listens to us and it says, wow, pile number 2 must want this to take a little bit longer, because that's what they keep saying over and over and over again. So we have to be very careful with our words here, with our communication about that thing that we want, and that and how it is that we're going to draw that thing to us, okay? You could even be asking or trying to manifest travel. This idea of going over seas, going over water here, traveling to a different location, okay? For the cards that you've picked out, you've picked the Star card, which is Aquarius energy, the Knight of Wands, fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The Wheel of Fortune here, which is fixed energy, and the High Priestess, which is Pisces. Now, you could be one of these signs. You don't have to be. We have fire at the bottom as well, okay? With the Star card here, this is something quite interesting, and it kind of goes back to what it is that I was saying on what it is that you're doing and you're focusing on, the communication that you're having with yourself while you're at this wait, while you wait for pedestrians to cross the road. When you are pouring your cups, when you are trying to fulfill yourself, the Star card, the card of wish fulfillment, whether this is to evoke communication from somebody, to bring a lover to bear, right? To move, to get more in touch with your own intuition, to heal yourself in some capacity, or to become a superstar, regardless of what that is for you. When you do that, are you looking at the thing that you are trying to manifest? Or do you just expect it to pour itself on your own? Notice that these cups, this woman has to hold them. She has to hold them. She has to actively work. And there's almost like a sense of waiting, like she's frozen in time. And because she is waiting so long for these cups to reciprocate one another, right? This circle to complete, this cycle to complete, she looks the other way. She's easily distracted. It's almost like the thing that she is hoping for, the thing that will give her this wish fulfillment, does not have her full attention. So I'll ask you again, pile number 2, when you are at the stop sign, what is it that you are thinking about? Is that the perfect opportunity for you to reaffirm, hey universe, by the way, I haven't forgotten that I have asked you for X, Y, and Z, right? And I need you to come through here, okay? I have faith that you will come through. I am grateful that you are coming through for me. Or are you spending it screaming, hitting your steering wheel, angry that there is a stop, that there is a wait, that there is this moment where you cannot continue on the path, that there is a delay? If we scream about the delay, right, as we all get road rage from time to time, if we're in our car screaming about the fact that kids have to cross the road, what are we manifesting there? We are manifesting more delays. Think about when you're really in a rush. Do you ever notice how when you're like, I can't afford to be late, you hit every single stop sign, every single stoplight, every light turns red, right? This is what I'm trying to communicate with you here. When you are at this place, even when there's a delay, do you look away? Do you take your eye off the prize? And are you not invested in the moments that this water doesn't feel like it's flowing quickly enough, or exactly how you would have wanted it to flow in the direction that you wanted it to flow? Are you turning your back on that thing and then getting upset later that this thing hasn't come to you yet? Well, how can it if we've moved our focus onto something else? The Eight of Wands, sometimes talks about speed. It talks about speed, and as I lift the Eight of Wands, I see the Eight of Cups down here. Are we basically saying that if it doesn't come quickly, it's not worth coming? Do we give up because it's not ours right away? Because here the universe is asking us to be consistent, to look at what it is that we are trying to fulfill ourselves with, to pay attention to our own cups, to heed our own wish. And we cannot do that if we just simply ask and then walk away. With this Eight of Cups, we need consistency. We need to show up every single day and make sure that every day, multiple times a day, perhaps 8 times a day for 8 days. You have 2 8s here. You might want to look up what the number 88 means, right? The angel number 88, or the number 8, to see if that has any relevance to you specifically, okay? Are we abandoning something before we've even given the universe the opportunity to make it work for us? And the second that the universe says slow, yield, somebody has to cross in front of you. Are we abandoning the thing? Are we looking the other way at something that can give us a more instant fulfillment, like this Knight of Wands can, versus something that will give us a long-term fulfillment, like this Star card will, that will renew our hope in ourselves, in our future, in our abilities here? This is very, very interesting. Now, the Knight of Wands here, the Knight of Wands is quite a passionate knight. He comes in and he comes out. But that is the problem with the Knight of Wands, isn't it? The Knight of Wands is good for one fun time or one fun thing. There's something about the Knight of Wands that is constantly fleeting. Are we fleeting? Are we constantly running away when we should be standing firm? When we should be standing firm and be consistent with the things that we dream of. I'm just going to say it how it came to me, but as you know, I give these in the most loving way, but I also understand that the way that my guides communicate this to me, to communicate it to you, it's out of my control, so I try to stay out of the way as much as I can. And what came to me here is that nobody likes a quitter. And I know, pile number 2, that you certainly don't like a quitter either. Now, certainly there are times where quitting is essential, right? If we're in an abusive situation, if we are being treated poorly, if we continue on our path and we grow and we decide through that growth, this thing isn't for me anymore. I have grown into a completely different person and now I want something else, right? That's one thing. There's something powerful about retreat. There is something powerful about retreat, about a U-turn, about a detour. But if we simply stop because things get hard, because obstacles get in our way, because the universe says wait, because we have a yellow light instead of a green light, because our car has run out of gas, okay? Are we just going to leave, drop our wand and say, okay, I guess this didn't work out? We have to have more respect for the things that we desire than that. There's something about standing firm. This Knight of Wands, remember that Knight of Wands, that idea of quick movement, in and out, inconsistency, right? That's why sometimes when you get the Knight of Wands in a love reading, it's like a warning sometimes, right? That somebody could be in for a one-night stand or for a season instead of a reason, right? That can be considered a little bit of a warning flag. This particular Knight of Wands is different. Notice that this Knight of Wands stands motionless, bucked up and ready to take action, but not disappearing, as in the action is here. I need to hold my ground. It's not time to run away because something got difficult or because I've asked for it for 8 times and I haven't gotten it. So it's time to walk away. The universe is saying, ask 8 more. Do not lose faith. Continue communicating with me and continue communicating with yourself. Say it to yourself, if no one else. And perhaps there's something in the intuition that you know, like, you know what, I could have probably held out a little bit longer on my quest to manifest this thing, right? I'm on a health journey. As you know, I try not to talk about myself in these readings, but if the example is relevant, I'll bring it up. I'm on a health journey, and I took 2 weeks to do nothing, to do absolutely nothing. I recognize that I am privileged to be able to do that, okay? But to eat well and to exercise, because I didn't want a lot of things on my to-do list while I focused on my health and my health alone. Okay, because I could see that it's affecting my life, my ability to do the things that I love. So I had these 2 weeks that were great. And then the temptation crept in, right? And so I had a little cheat meal. And a little cheat meal turned into a cheat day. And a cheat day turned into 2 cheat days, right? And now I'm getting back on pace. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, if only I wouldn't have walked away. If only I would have been consistent. Now, it's never too late to get back on the horse, right? It's never too late to stand tall again and to start over. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I got stuck at the crosswalk, but I'm back in my car. The keys are in the ignition, and I'm waiting patiently to get to the other side, right? But we have to continually remind ourselves of that. That forward movement sometimes means slows and stops. Even if you were a machine, occasionally your parts would need oil. You would need fuel, right? You are not a machine, you are human. So you need even more than that, even more than a machine does. I'm curious to see what yeah. It's almost like the reason that I wanted to see what was underneath this Two of Wands, because we're talking very much about this idea of standing strong, and we see that these two wands stand strong, but we have to decide each and every day to keep our goal at the forefront in our mind. Some of you are this goal that you're trying to manifest is a home, either a physical home, a new home, like an upgrade, living on your own, or perhaps owning a home, right? Because we have the Two of Wands with a home at the center, deciding that we want that thing. And we also have the Four of Wands underneath this idea of home, this idea of happily ever after, perhaps a union, a soulmate that you are looking, a mirror that you are looking to have with this Two of Wands and this Four of Wands, okay? But the choice, even here, okay, as obstacles come in our way, see these wands here? The only option to get to home in both of these cards is to go through. We cannot go around. There are no shortcuts. I'm so sorry to tell you. The things that take time, take time. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't get some blessings along the way. That doesn't mean that there will be a yield or an obstacle sign in front of us forever. It just means that right now there's a wait. And we need to decide that we want this thing badly enough to wait at the stop sign. It's funny how this looks, right? Because this very much looks like a stop sign. This idea of the Wheel of Fortune, this idea of time, and us at a halt here. The universe is saying, my asking you to wait, this delay, it's not a no, it's a in a minute. Okay, this is not a no. This is in a minute. Maybe we should be at a place, right? We could perhaps practice some gratitude here. I'm so grateful that I can wait. I'm strong enough to wait. Thank you, universe. I hope that whoever needs your help more than me right now is getting all the help that they need. This idea of giving your slice of the universe's help up to somebody else. And you getting that back 100-fold and unlocking this wheel of good fortune, of good timing, right? Of something happening when it's supposed to happen. Not when we think it's supposed to happen, but when the universe says it's safe to cross now, right? Perhaps this delay is a blessing. Have you ever left your house and seen you were running late and you see an accident that you could have been a part of if you would have left on time? Perhaps the delay is to keep you safe. And in the meantime, we need to keep hope alive. That this delay is not a no, it's in a minute, okay? At the time that it is supposed to happen, in divine time. This wheel will move, and it will move in your favor. A good luck charm is coming, the end of your waiting, the beginning of momentum. And you have to know it. You have to know it so deeply that you do not give up. You have to reinforce this in your mind, in your psyche, in touch with the intuition, perhaps. As I had mentioned, this idea of being grateful that you've made it as far as you have. Right? I think of gratefulness. I think of gratitude when I see beautiful flowers and bouquets like this. Taking a moment to smell the roses and say, you know what? I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Thank you, universe. Right? And to write a new path. To remember these are the things that I want. Write them down. Right? Just so you don't forget, universe, I'm asking you again. Right? Just to make sure. I'm writing them down again. I'm going to write a new chapter here. One where this isn't a delay, this is an exciting new beginning. I'm not stuck in the middle. I am embarking on the beginning of the best part. Very, very beautiful. That's not it. I want to pull an affirmation for you and then an oracle card from the universe to you regarding this specific spread, okay? One card, please. For pile number 2, one affirmation, please, for pile number 2 regarding spontaneity. We have positive thinking here at the bottom as well, okay? Here's that for my screenshotters. This is a bonus card. When you get a bonus card, that is a sign that this is special. It is uniquely meant for you that you got this bonus card. It's like an extra confirmation that this is your message, okay? Spontaneity. Do you like spontaneous adventures of the highest caliber? The only acceptable answer to this question is yes. So buckle up, Charlie. You're about to take a wild ride through the unexplored, unconventional, and underrated. You're about to learn that yes is a magic word with the power to unlock new dimensions in space and time and after-hours hangouts. Yes will lead you to experiences you didn't think possible and teach you that lifelong friendships are sometimes lurking just behind a karaoke singer's mullet. There's a pretty good chance your name is not Charlie, as an asterisk here for calling you Charlie. Something very important here. As I had mentioned, it's not a no. It's not a no. Perhaps we are traveling to this thing in a way that we didn't expect. Perhaps we're crossing this road on foot instead of in our vehicles, okay? You're about to take a wild ride through the unexplored, unconventional, and underrated. Perhaps the universe has a more exciting way for you to get across the road here, okay? And that's when this wheel moves in your favor, and that's when this thing comes to you. There's something again about gratitude there. Being grateful, perhaps, that the universe is almost savoring the right timing for you. So that when you do get to this road and you cross it, that it is so much sweeter. It is waiting for that moment, that it is the sweetest to cross this particular road. Interesting. I love this card. You could be focused on money, on material abundance as well. This color of green, of money, of abundance, right? Of material wealth sticks out to me very, very strongly. Let's pull an oracle card. If the universe had one thing to tell you about this particular manifestation, for pile number 2, please. One card, any message that you want to give pile number 2 regarding this spread and their manifestations, please. Or any blockages about their manifestations. One card, please, for pile number 2. Stillness. Things are clicking here. Everybody always asks me what deck this is. This is called the Supra Oracle deck. I always list all of the decks that I use in the description, the description section of the video, okay? In case if you are curious about the card that I am using. I'm going to pull that up for you here. All right, here's this. Stillness. The practice of stillness is a return to the germinal state of potential, where we can hear the heartbeat of nature and enter into slow time, the quiet place of reflection and contemplation that allows you to observe the primal at work in the world and within you, and search out its vital essentials. All we need is here before us, waiting in stillness, happy to reveal and gift us its wanted simple pleasures and indispensable companionship if we simply take the time to open ourselves to its quiet, rejuvenating essence. How well does that fit with our idea of waiting, right? Of not right now, but in a second, right? This idea of yielding, of stopping, of slowing for just a moment. We are being asked with your oracle card, the universe wants you to embrace the stillness. Again, what are you doing with your time at the stop sign? Are you screaming that you have to stop? Or are you enjoying the music? Are you going through a playlist of songs that you haven't listened to in years that make you feel alive again? We have to choose what we are doing with the stillness, because that choice is what brings forth what comes in the future. Okay? Here are your key words: rest, contemplation, regroup, meditative, and natural. Perhaps a potential blocking here is not a delay, but a much needed vacation, right? The universe hasn't abandoned you. It just wants you to have some time to sit in the quiet. Another nod about gratitude there, right? In the key words as well, to be grateful for the quiet, the stillness, the lack of movement, and to find a way to connect with that. Connect with the quiet. Connect with the stillness, with your inner self. What a beautiful message for you, pile number 2. That was your reading. I hope so much that you enjoyed it. I want to thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time with me. I know that they are not making any more time on this earth, and you spent some of that time with me. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope that I see you again soon. All right? Good luck. Bye-bye. Alrighty, if you picked pile number 3, our bright orange detour sign here, then this is the reading for you on what it is that is blocking your current manifestations. What is it that is getting in the way of you drawing in that thing that you desire? As I started with the other groups, I'd like to bring your attention to the blockage that you picked. This particular one is quite interesting. This idea of a detour. Perhaps one of the things that we need to connect with in our quest for the things that we desire is the fact that sometimes the road to get there isn't the one that we expect. There are times where the universe sends us on detours because it wants something even more special for us in the future. So perhaps on your path to manifesting this thing or these things that are weighing on your heart, on your mind, you have had to readjust course. And perhaps at this moment, the universe isn't saying no. The universe isn't saying this isn't something that cannot belong to you. Perhaps it's saying, let's go get this thing. We just have to go around a different way to make it happen. That certainly could be in how it is that we're trying to manifest this thing, or how it is that we expect this thing to come to us. Perhaps your Prince Charming, right, is taller than you expected or shorter than you expected. Perhaps your path to getting a promotion or getting the job that you've always desired is very different from the one that you expected, okay? So this idea that we are being turned in a different direction, perhaps turned to a different manifestation altogether, certainly comes to mind with this particular sign. I also love this idea of breaking this word down, because the tour stands out very specifically to me. If you are trying to manifest something and you feel like it's not coming, the idea of a tour, the idea of almost like sightseeing, there's something very much about taking this moment in, being in the present and enjoying the scenery. Perhaps there's a lesson in the scenery right now that you are supposed to be looking at, that you are supposed to be photographing in your memory, an experience in your current place that you have yet to have, that the universe wants you to have before you get to your next destination. This idea of touring, of really taking your time in the present moment, in the present place that you find yourself in, recognizing I am actually meant to be here right now. and understanding that there's something right around the corner that you are meant to see before you move on to the next destination. Very, very interesting. Obviously, even here, if we kind of look at the word a little bit backwards, it almost says routed, right? As in like rerouted, as in we'll get to where we're going, but we have to find another way. Perhaps the road is blocked in this particular direction. Perhaps the universe has one of the roads under construction because that road for you right now is not fit for your particular journey. Very interesting. Let's jump into the tarot cards and see what it is that we can get for you. For pile number 3, please. In regards to what it is that pile number 3 is trying to manifest. What is blocking manifestation for pile number 3, please? What is blocking manifestation for pile number 3? For pile number 3, please. One more card. What is blocking manifestation for pile number 3? Alrighty. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Two of Wands. This is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. We also have fire with the Queen of Wands and the Knight of Wands here. So you could be a fire sign. You don't have to be. We have Pisces here with the Hanged Man. And we have the Ten of Cups, which is water energy, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Now, as far as what it is that you're possibly trying to manifest, you could be trying to manifest an actual tour, right? An actual vacation, a departure. You could be looking to change your scenery, to move to a new location, to relocate into a different home, as we see here at the center of this decision of these two wands. I also see the idea of manifesting passion, of manifesting a partner, somebody that mirrors you, somebody that is very much like you but different, that you can grow together with, perhaps towards home, towards family here with the Ten of Cups. Very, very interesting. With the Two of Wands at the bottom of the deck, we are presented with a choice. We are presented with a choice, and I find that this card coming out as the base, as the foundation of our detour is very, as I always say, there are no coincidences for me as a reader in tarot. And I love this idea of you trying to find home. Now, this home could certainly be a creative endeavor. It could be a physical home, as in, where do I belong? Where in the world is it that I belong? How can I build a home? How can I build a family? How can I find my mirror and build this family life with that person? I see a lot of lust, a lot of love, a lot of passion here, and a lot of nods to family. I also see a nod to creativity and to self-expression, inward self-expression here with the Hanged Man as well. Now, with this Two of Wands, notice that the only way to get home here is to go through. I'm sure you could go around, but going around will take longer to get there. Now, perhaps you're in a place in your life where you're trying to enjoy the view and you don't mind if it takes a little bit longer to manifest this destination, to manifest this thing that you are looking for. But this Two of Wands, when it comes to a choice about this thing that we're trying to draw near to us, the best way to get to this destination is to go through, not to go around. Not to go around the wands, to go through them. And perhaps one of the things that are blocking manifestation for you, group number 3, is this idea that perhaps we can skate around the hard work. Perhaps we can skate around the typical way of doing things in order to get to home. But these detours, these stops that you make along the way, all of these potty breaks, right, are actually making it take longer for this thing to come to you, or for you to go to it, because in this case, this is something quite solitary, quite settled in its own foundation, perhaps a dream or an aspiration or a desire that you've had for some time. And it has stayed in your mind there, fixed in the ground, in the surface, not moving, right? And you have to decide to stop making pit stops, to stop taking detours around, dancing around the issue almost, instead of just barreling right through it. There are a lot of reasons why people go around instead of going through. And some of these reasons might resonate with you. First, sometimes we think that we're taking a shortcut. We're hacking the system. We're the black cat in the matrix, right? And we have found some unique way to make ourselves get to our destination faster. And while that can be true sometimes, there are other times where a workaround is not a supplement for hard work, for diligence, for just getting something done. Perhaps we're spending too much time wondering in our mind, how do we get around? Instead of just getting up on our feet and walking through, walking directly towards our destination. If you notice in this particular card, this home, this desire is shrouded in all of this greenery here. And perhaps you're telling yourself, well, I don't want to go through the thicket of all that, all of those leaves, all of those trees. Who knows what's hiding down there? There's something quite scary about walking through that bush, through all of that greenery, right? There could be spiders, there could be bugs, there could be monsters hiding under a metaphorical bed in those bushes. So maybe if I walk this way or this way, it won't be as scary. There's something about the unknown and how we're trying to work around the things that we don't know to get to not have to jump into the places that we don't know. And there's something quite impossible. You're running from something that you don't know is good or bad. I see very strongly this idea that perhaps if I find a different path, it won't be as messy. And one of the things about that, right, is certainly sometimes we can find an easier way to make it somewhere. But it's almost like the universe needs you to get every bump and scrape and every scratch along the way. Every thorn needs to hit your feet, your legs, your ankles at just the right places. Because the person that you are meant to become when you get to this house is a person that is formed from the experience of going through the unknown. It's almost like you can't have one without the other. And I almost get this visual of when you skirt around the side, the scenery shifts and puts that bush right in front of you again, front and center. This is to say, we have to go through the uncomfortable. We have to live on the edge in order to bring this thing to us, in order for us to go to it. There are no shortcuts for this particular thing. You might be able to shortcut a couple steps, right? You might be able to walk over some foliage, but then you might get to some trees that are too high for you to climb over. You have to go through them, right? I see that here. This almost reminds me of a card in the archetype deck that is called the Forest, and it talks about if you haven't gotten lost in the forest, then you're not really in the forest. And in the forest is where we really find ourselves. We find what we're made of, right? We find new adventures. We find what we fear. And we confront those fears in the thick of the forest. If you can find your way out quickly, then you never went in deep enough. And I see that very much here represented on this card. So perhaps we're trying to take a less painful route through, and all of these detours to avoid pain, to avoid the unknown, are actually extending our journey even further when we could just go out and get things done. I want you to picture for a second, pile number 3, your goal, what that thing is that you're trying to manifest. For example, if you're trying to manifest a passionate lover, with all these wands that we see here with this idea of family, right? If you are trying to manifest that into your life, it's kind of a hard ask to tell the universe that you want this thing to knock on your door. Oftentimes, we have to go to it. In other words, we have to be active participants in the world to increase our chance of meeting somebody, right? It means you got to leave your house. It means you got to leave the comfort of what you know, and you have to head into that dark forest to get home, okay? Home could be very, very important to you. Stability in home. Perhaps you're trying to find the courage, the strength to get finances and resources together. Perhaps money is something that is of concern to you with this King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles is often my card of ultimate stability, right? And is very much centered around the home. You can see that this King of Pentacles points to home here specifically. I almost even get here, notice how this King of Pentacles is actually covered in the earth. It's covered in the earth that you are trying to take a detour from. Again, this idea that the person that is meant to live in this home, to have this thing that you want to have, is the person that has gone through all of the foliage. It's a part of you. You have to be a part of this scary forest. You have to get all the bumps and the scrapes and the bruises to be the type of person that gets to this destination. It becomes you, and it's almost like you become the goal. You become worthy of the goal through the process. And it's going to take some courage. It's going to take some strength, strength coming out underneath, right? Leo energy here. It's going to take this bold action towards this thing. There's something quite fearless about this Knight of Swords. There's a quickness. Often with our knights, there's this talk of aggression, with the swords, right? The sword class in the tarot is often the sign of nobles and lords, and they don't ask for things. Typically, they take them. There's this idea of going into battle and using a sharp instrument to bluntly and without mercy get that thing that you are trying to win. It's interesting that we have this imagery of this Knight of Swords almost like they're going to war, because I got war. I got the word war in my mind when I was looking at this Two of Wands. It's like you have to meet your fear on enemy territory here in order to win the war. And every single one of these steps is a small battle that step after step after step accumulates into you winning the war. There's a consistency here in marching forward regardless of your fear. There's a stability in this action, stably marching forward, sword in hand, ready for battle, ready to slay whatever darkness lies in this forest that is standing between you and the thing that you want to manifest. Okay, I see a lot about courage, about unleashing your inner beast here, and we see that here with the Queen of Wands. This Queen of Wands is always, as I've stated before, one of the most interesting representations of the Queen of Wands that I've seen, because the Queen of Wands is a queen that knows what she wants. She is a queen that is determined. She's like that Knight of Swords, but filled with much more passion, right? And there's a hierarchy, a knowing I'm all that in a bag of chips, right? But this particular Queen of Wands, instead of this determination, this knowing that she is the one that wears the beautiful robes and the crown and holds desire, passion, heat, fire in her hands. She controls it. She is the queen, right? She can make a demand of that wand and action will spring forward from it. This queen is a bit doubtful. She looks to the ground bashfully. Think about how many representations you've seen of queens. How often do they look down? How often do they timidly look at their cat, in this case, this queen's own intuition, and say, I'm kind of second guessing if we're brave enough, if we are strong enough to embark on this journey. Notice even here, this Queen of Wands is shrouded in this beautiful greenery. This greenery must become a part of you in order for you to get to the other side of this road towards the thing that you want to manifest. There's something about a doubt, a self-doubt. I see fear here. Perhaps we're feeding fear into our intuition. And our intuition is almost saying, I often say that this cat looks a little sideways at this queen, as if to say, you're the queen, why are you asking me for answers? You already are the queen. Embody yourself as the queen. Hold your head up. Look forward with confidence, not down to me for advice. You are the one that moves us forward. I'm just a cat, right? I'm just a cat. Something else interesting that I see here is this idea of the cat of 9 lives. It's almost like if you embark on this journey, and let's say you get into the bushes and you get a little scared, so you take a couple steps back. Tomorrow you can come back a little braver, knowing that you've taken 10 steps in. And now I can take 20 steps, right? And maybe after 20 steps, I go back 10 steps. But every day I keep consistently taking this action, getting braver and braver and braver as I go along. And all of those steps will add up. All of those steps will add up. And the reason that I mentioned the cat here is because of this idea of having 9 lives, or like having 9 attempts almost to get this done. Any failures that we've had are not final in this instance. We can keep coming back. We always land on our feet if we miss the mark. And then we come back like a cat to go again. There's something about curiosity too. Don't get scared, because that saying, curiosity killed the cat. I feel like here your cat is actually saying we have to be curious. It's in our nature. We have to go, as scary as this the unknown here might be. We have to move forward. You have to be this queen. Queens can't just decide, typically, right, that they just don't want to be queen anymore. Usually there are very dire consequences for queens that want to give up their throne, or that show some kind of fear as they rule. Think about the times of kings and queens, right? These medieval times, where any weakness in court, any weakness in the queen was almost a death sentence, okay? There's something so pivotal, so vital about you making a move here. What we're feeding our intuition here could certainly be a blockage. This looking down on your intuition, almost to confirm we are unsure, we are afraid, we are not holding our head high confidently, our sword forward, ready to march to war. There's something about building that strength, the strength at a minimum to believe that you are this queen and that you are capable and that you have more than one chance to get to this final destination, to get to this thing that you are dreaming of. With the Hanged Man here, we've tied ourselves up. We've tied ourselves up, and we're not even on a detour anymore. We are stagnant. right? Oftentimes when we take a detour, I saw this movie, and you might not like it, but the lessons in it are quite profound. It's called I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and it's on Netflix. It's a Charlie Kaufman film, which they're already strange and incredibly quirky. But the symbolism behind this film, I see that, I feel it embodied in this card, the meaning of that film. Sometimes we take a small detour because we're afraid to get to our destination. We're afraid of the uphill portion of the journey. Okay, man, that looks like a lot of work to get to the top of the mountain there. So maybe we should, if we just stop for a second and take a quick potty break on the road, right? And grab a Starbucks. Sometimes we accidentally end up stuck at the bottom of the mountain. And every single day that we spend tying ourselves to this physical place, stuck in this never-ending detour, looking at the top of the mountain, but too afraid to climb it, too afraid to move into that journey, questioning whether our car can even make it up the hill, whether we could march up that hill, right? We end up stuck for so long that it feels impossible to move. And even when we do move sometimes, we get to this place where we have so much regret and remorse that we stayed in situations for so long when we could have been at the top of the mountain. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and we think, man, oh man, look at all that time wasted, right? I see that here. I see that we are stuck. We are stuck in a detour. We thought we could get out for a second and stretch our legs, and maybe I can build my courage for the journey. And we stayed here. We stayed at the detour instead of pushing ourselves up the mountain. There's a quote that says, sometimes limbo is a wonderful place to be. And sometimes it is, right? This idea of the path not traveled, and sometimes it's nice to go a different route. As long as you don't get stuck there in a place that you're not happy being. This particular hanged man, you can tell that he is trying to get out. You can see his foot creeping off the vine, almost like he's trying to get his foot loose. You're trying to get out of this detour. I see you stuck in a place where you've told yourself for quite some time, perhaps 7 weeks, 12 weeks, 12 months, 12 years, okay? You've told yourself, we've got to get out of this. But you keep looking down, perhaps, doubting your own ability to even make this happen. I see a lot of doubt here and a lot of fear. Letting fear control the narrative, fear of the unknown, fear of getting hurt, fear of the thing is, though, if we stay at the detour, right? If we keep this as our permanent route, we've already lost. And what does that mean? How does that hurt? How does that affect us, right? If we've refused to try to win because we're too afraid of the journey, we're so afraid of losing, and we've already lost because we're not moving, right? I've been in this place, so I empathize. I know what it feels like to try to get yourself moving after years of being on a detour. Okay, with this 10 of Cups, I get a couple things. First, you could have people in your family that are blocking this for you. Now, I don't see it as an ill intention. I don't get that feeling from this card. There's something about dogma, perhaps, that I feel here, like, well, this is the way it's always been done. This is my family town. This is where I'm meant to grow up. This is where everybody in my family has ended up, right? This is the way I'm expected to be. I also get perhaps some of you You might be in a relationship that you want to end with this 10, right? The end of a family. And you don't know if you have the confidence to make that thing happen. You've lost your crown a little bit here, okay? And the blockage is the family, as in you feel perhaps like, wow, if I could get out of this relationship, I can perhaps find something new. I can reignite a passion. If I can get out of this situation with this Knight of Wands, like a bat out of hell, towards something that I'm passionate about, towards a younger version of myself, towards something that lights my fire again, then I would be happy. Then I would be okay. Then I would be back on my way to the mountain. I almost get this sense of, if this happens, when this happens, that's when I will. And that's another detour. It's a crutch. It's a reason. It's an excuse, right? Because we can stand tall right now. I see you standing tall here at the end and speaking to yourself. Wands often represent this passionate communication, right? I almost get like enough is enough. And I want you to notice something quite interesting here. As we progress from this King of Pentacles, I want you to notice something. That the bolder we get, the more that we speak to ourselves that this is possible, and almost, that's the key here, that we are stuck. I almost feel like the blockage is to acknowledge I am stuck. That's the first step for you, pile number 3. To say, you know what, it's true, I'm stuck. And know that that's okay. And to say, I'm all right with that. Because I'm so blessed that I even felt that tremor in myself. That I'm shaking myself awake. That I have this realization that I'm stuck. That I want something more. That I feel like is the first step to get you back on route. Okay? Something quite beautiful here. As we take more and more steps towards this thing, towards the fear of the unknown, okay? First, even making the decision that I'm stuck, I need to move towards this thing, okay? We start here as the King of Pentacles. We start developing this foliage, a shield around us almost, right? And then that shield starts to grow into this beautiful foliage that almost starts to drape around the body, right? And then we move to this Knight of Wands completely covered, almost camouflaged. I see this almost like as immune to pain, immune to fear, immune to the scariness of the unknown. As you take more and more steps towards this destination, the one that I said that you have to become a part of the foliage, that going through, getting all those scrapes, those bumps, those bruises in the unknown is a part of the process. As soon as we stop fearing that, we become it. And that thing, that foliage that we were afraid of, that hid the path, right? That becomes a part of us. Like I said in the beginning, this is a part of who you have to become. There's no going around it. I'm so sorry, pile number 3, but there are no shortcuts here. There is something in our intuition, in our courage, that we have to go through. We cannot go around. So I think the question for you is, what is it that I want, and how am I trying to dance around that thing instead of just saying, you know what, I'm going straight through. Okay, if you want a divorce, are you making excuses, oh, in 5 years, or after I get more concrete information that this person is cheating, or once this person cheats 3 times, that's when I'll leave. Or are you moving the goalposts on yourself, right? I said I would start next week, but next week is inconvenient because a new season of The Real Housewives starts. Whatever your reason, right? I almost feel like you're moving your own goalpost on when you should take action, when you're ready. You already are trying to shake yourself off this tree. You have the aha moment already that you are stuck. I almost saw rooted here, that you are rooted somewhere that you do not want to be. It's time for new growth. It's time for you to grow in a different direction. It's okay for you to change course too. If you have lived this life with this 10 of Cups, I almost get this feeling of well, I've done this for so long, I can't change now. The heck you can't. Every day is a new birth. It's a new opportunity to make this thing happen. Whether that thing is to finally get the courage to speak to your crush, right? Or to decide, you know what, I gotta get out, I gotta get confident, I gotta shake my tree up and leave the nest in order to find a lover to have this beautiful family. This could certainly be something creative, having the strength to follow your passionate creative endeavors, right? To follow these passionate creative endeavors that will lead to stability, that will lead to home, that will lead to family, being able to sustain your family financially. We have to recognize that we're stuck, that we are rooted. We have to reroute, and we have to understand that it's time to take a gallant step, to muster all of our strength, to take this gallant step towards the thing that we desire. There's no more going around. There's only going through. Very, very interesting. I'd like to pull an affirmation for you and then an oracle card. The affirmations and the oracle cards have been very, very in line with the reading, so I hope that you stick around for that. For pile number 3, for our little detours here, not happy with how those came out. For pile number 3, one card, please. For pile number 3, one affirmation for this thing that they are trying to manifest. Don't take it personally, and the card of joy here underneath that. Here's this for my screenshotters. Don't take it personally. If someone starts to speak unkindly to me, I'll remember that they've got something going on that has nothing to do with me. Like maybe they just pooped their pants. Yes, that's probably it. Very interesting card to get for you. It's funny because I almost see this idea of, I can see this 2 ways in your reading. The first is you speaking unkindly to yourself. What is the conversation that is happening between this Queen of Wands and her intuition? Her cat, her pal, somebody that is pets, right? They're supposed to be our most loyal friends. What is this conversation that we're having here? Is it kind, or is it unkind? Are you having unkind conversations with yourself? And are these unkind conversations what you're unknowingly manifesting? If you say to yourself, I can't, the universe says, oh, well, they must not want to, so we'll make sure that they can't, right? Are these conversations that you're having with yourself unkind? And also, if something doesn't go your way right away, are you taking that personally to a place that it makes you immovable? It puts you into this hanged man position. And have we taken setbacks as a reflection of us versus a reflection of circumstance? In other words, if you apply for a job and somebody else gets that job instead, do you say to yourself, it's because I wasn't good enough? Or, in other words, do you take it that personally? Or do you say something like, maybe somebody applied first? Maybe somebody beat me to it, right? And it really doesn't have anything to do with me. It just has to do with timing. Maybe the person that got the job is the son of one of the employees, one of the managers at the company that I wanted to work for, right? And it really doesn't have anything to do with me or my abilities versus the fact I don't control the rain I'm almost getting, right? The fact that it's raining on you doesn't mean that you are meant to be rained on, that you are a person that deserves rain. It just means that it's raining. And are we taking that too personally? That's something interesting for you to think about, pile number 3. I'm going to get an oracle card here for you guys. And this is an oracle card from the universe. Any message that the universe wants you to hear right now in regards to this thing that you are asking them for or that you feel blocked from, okay? One card for pile number 3, please. Regarding what is blocking manifestation, please. All right, Psyche is here. We also have the card of individuation show its face. This is interesting because it reminds me of the Knight of Swords. This idea that you and you alone are the only person that can pull that sword out of that rock. That sword was placed for you, and it looks a bit desolate here in this particular representation, right? It looks like nobody has tended to that sword in some time. And only you and you alone can pull this sword out of this stone to wield your sword. Perhaps it's time to take your sword out of retirement. You could be an air sign, an Aries, a Gemini, a Libra, or an Aquarius, because the Knight of Swords and that air sign. That sword there. But have you let your sword sit stagnant? Is it time to go to war? Right? Towards the things that you want. You've pulled the card of Psyche here as your oracle card. You can see that there is a lot of reference to the weather here. Perhaps you pulled over on your drive because the rain was a little too heavy. The winds were howling a little too loud, and you didn't expect to end up staying where it is that you stayed. That movie, I'm thinking about ending things, is a lot about being stuck and all of our coulda, woulda, shouldas and all of the ways that one day of waiting turns into a lifetime of no movement. Here's this for those who'd like to screenshot it. Psyche. Somewhere in the ancient history of humanity, our minds sensed another timeless mind. It whispered to us through the soft breeze as we sat in the tender grass, thinking how good it was. Nature was enough, and summoned us away with its dark, nocturnal love, promising to take us to the ultimate heights of our being, and Psyche was born. The key words for this particular card are accomplishment, becoming, significant, and elevation. It's funny that I had made this reference of this queen speaking with her psyche, speaking with her intuition, with her cat. I wonder if you have stopped hearing that voice, right? As you sit in this tender grass, thinking about how good things were. Perhaps you might be stuck thinking about the past in your psyche. And instead of maybe focusing on, instead of how good it was, we need to reframe our psyche to how good it's going to be, how good it can be in the future. this idea of this voice needing to hear it again so that it can promise to take us to the ultimate heights of our being. Perhaps it's time to rebirth that psyche. This could be in regards to a material accomplishment. Again, I keep getting these feelings of like home, of where it is that you feel that you belong. This idea of becoming, again, another nod to change, to birth, to reconfiguring almost. Perhaps the detour is you, right? Perhaps you're the person that's saying, I am the detour. I am this sign. I need to change. I need to become something different. I need to turn from a detour into a green light, right? And this idea of elevation, of climbing the mountain, of not being afraid to go into the unknown. That the unknown mountain could be within our own psyche. Perhaps we need to be more careful about how we speak to ourselves. Not just about what we can accomplish, not just about boosting our confidence to get rerouted here, but also about rainy days and thunder, and how they're not a reflection of who we are, but just a phenomenon, right? Not to get too long-winded on your reading, like that hasn't already happened. You guys, if you've been on this channel, you already know, okay? But I want to point something out to you, because I feel like you'll get it. There's a show called Devs, and there's a scene in this show where one of the characters says, "Does anything ever happen without a reason?" And the other character responds and says, "Yes, all kinds of things happen without a reason. Lightning happens without a reason. People getting struck by lightning. Kids getting certain types of cancer or something like that, right? Leukemia, I believe, was the example that they gave." And the person that asked the question said, "No, I didn't ask if nothing ever happened for a good reason. I said, does anything ever happen without a reason?" The lightning was a static discharge. The leukemia was an aberration in the child's DNA. Every single thing happens for a reason. It is a domino of something that preceded it, right? Sometimes we look at things that happen and we give them a reason for happening, when really they are just things that are happening as a result of something else. A car accident, right? Maybe it's not because you're doomed or because you have bad luck. Again, this idea of taking it personal, of making something out of it that it really isn't. Maybe it was just the timing that you both set off on the road. It's like a coin flip, right? A coin flip is not a random event. It's a complex event. It is how hard was the coin tossed? What was the temperature of the room, the molecular resistance in the air? Sometimes we can build this doom and gloom in our own psyche, where we say, it's me, I'm the problem, I am cursed. Wherever I go, rain clouds follow. And that is not the case. You might be taking it more personally than it is. It was just a circumstance. Any of these past failures, any of the reasons that you got rooted in your detour when you were supposed to elevate towards the rest of the mountain. Perhaps that is what we need to detach from in the psyche, in our intuition, in our minds, and that, releasing that and saying, you know what? This isn't about me, these things that happened. They were just things that happened, right? And I let them weigh too heavily as a reflection of who I am, instead of just them being things that happened, right? That could be one of the things that is blocking us here. Understanding that and moving past it, letting it go, acknowledging it, and saying, these detours, these things that happen to me, it's not who I am. They're just things that happened. They're just a sequence of occurrences. They don't reflect who I am. And today I choose to be something different, and I choose to bring that thing to me that I desire. Lastly, I'll leave you with this note. If this is your psyche at this current moment, look at the visuals there, right? If this is how confident you feel, if this is there's something quite wild happening here. There's something uncontrolled. There's wild weather. There's it's a bit of a scary scene, right? Are your thoughts focused in this way? This doom and gloom? And is that what we're manifesting? Are we literally bringing in the rain? If we think constantly about this doom and gloom, this terrible weather, can we be surprised if every day we get rained on? Perhaps it's like that saying, you're more powerful than you know. And if you knew how powerful you were, you'd be more careful about the thoughts that you chose to think, right? If you're thinking doom and gloom, you could be manifesting the rain in your own life. Very, very interesting reading, pile number 3. I hope that you got some insight from the reading, that it made you think a little bit. I'm very curious to know for you specifically, what is it that you're trying to manifest? How did the reading relate to that? And if you see any other meanings here, please feel free to share those down below in the comments as well. I know that it helps other people to read what others are going through. We are our own support, so there's a reason why we call ourselves the collective, right? It takes a village, so please share those below. I wish you so much luck with this. Any questions, let me know. And I'm so grateful to spend a little bit of time with you today. I thank you so much for stopping by the channel, and hopefully I see you again soon. All right, bye-bye. Alrighty, if you picked blockage number 4, then this is the reading for you on what it is that could be possibly blocking your manifestations. You have picked the blockage of a bit of a literal roadblock with a stop sign on top of it. Yours is very unique because it actually has a stop sign. Even on the first one, it was a stop sign, but it stated emergency vehicles only. So there was this path of progression, but it was exclusionary to certain types of vehicles. Yours is quite interesting. I think about this imagery of a roadblock, right? And why is a roadblock there? I almost get the sense that perhaps the road that you're traveling down, the universe might be trying to give you a hint that there's something about the road that needs to change, the destination that needs to alter. I also get this idea of something being under construction, so perhaps this is something that is actually being worked on. So you might think, I've hit this roadblock. This must mean that this is a no for me on this thing coming my way, or me being able to manifest action towards this specific endeavor. And the universe is saying, no, I'm paving the road right now for you so that you can have a less bumpy ride. Perhaps the universe actually has this thing under construction for you. I see this image of a car driving up to one of these late at night, and the lights flashing, right? As in there's work in progress to make this path easier for you, which I think is quite brilliant. The fact that there's a stop sign on top of this symbol, it's almost like we're stopping temporarily. We're stopping for the work. It doesn't mean that this is out of reach, that it'll never happen. It just means that we're in a delay. Even here with the stop sign, I see almost like a minus sign, as in this theory of reduction. I almost get this nod to The universe saying, on the contrary, while this might look like an obstacle, what is beyond this path is actually something that I'm trying to minimize for you. Perhaps the length that you are traveling, perhaps the universe has found a way to curve the road so that it is a shortcut, or to straighten a curvy road so that it is a smoother, straight ride to your destination. There's something about subtraction, about removing perhaps friction on the road, potholes on the road, that would make your journey to this thing unpleasant. Your road is under construction, perhaps specifically to remove certain obstacles for you right now, in order to make the journey to this thing that much easier for you. The key takeaway here, I feel, is this idea that a delay sometimes can be a delay in your favor, right? The universe is saying, I am constructing a better path, and I am removing obstacles, although we might have to wait a little bit. Know that I am working on something wonderful on your behalf. Very, very interesting. Let's jump into the cards and we'll see what they have to say. For charm number 4, please, what is blocking manifestation, please? For charm number 4, what is blocking manifestation? 4 of Cups. For charm number 4, what is blocking manifestation, please? Okay. For charm number 4, what is blocking? Very, very interesting. Alrighty. Now, at the bottom of the deck, we have the 10 of Pentacles. You could be an earth sign, a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn. We have Tauran here specifically with the Hierophant. You also could be a water sign, a Cancer, a Scorpio, or a Pisces, with the 4 of Cups and the Page of Cups here as well. Okay, this is a very, very interesting pile, and I feel like this particular roadblock, I'm glad that I took some time to go into it before we jumped into the reading, because I see you perhaps trying to build financial stability, perhaps stability in order to provide for a family, having extra money to not just survive, to thrive. This idea of dogs playing in the yard, having freedom, having leisure time to run around. Maybe this is you, right? Maybe this is your future children and your thoughts about bringing some stability into their lives, where they have opportunities to play and to wander and to roam where you didn't. You want your children to have a better life than you had, a better upbringing, right? More opportunities for them. I see this too as a abundance, perhaps in regards to work and in regards to home. This idea that you want to build a home, and you're worried about the amount of pentacles that it takes in order to get there. Now, even here with these particular dogs, you'll notice that there's a bit of a block on the way. These dogs look to home, and there's this big boulder on the path leading that way. Now, I wonder what that boulder represents for you, what the stoppage is, what the thing in that you feel is in the way that will lead you to home, that will lead you to this destination, to this thing that you are trying to manifest, and the path that you had carved out. Right now there's a roadblock on it. The universe is working on a road. If you notice, this is actually where the road stops. This is actually where the road that these dogs are on stops, and there's a roadblock in the way. I find it very interesting that we see that here at the base, at the foundation of your spread, a physical roadblock represented in this picture. The path to home might feel like there is not one for you. I wonder, pile number 4, if you have thoughts perhaps of saving for a home, or having this kind of freedom where you have a summer home, having that kind of abundance in your life, and you not even seeing the road to get there. It's almost like this roadblock ends at a cliff. There is no road. There's you might feel like there was never a road built. So is this thing really meant for me? Has the universe abandoned me in this thing? Because There's no more steps to take without me jumping off the edge here. Very interesting. Again, this could be in regards to home. It could be in regards to marriage, right, with the Hierophant here. What's interesting is I'll start with both scenarios. For some of you, I feel like you could have this yearning for family, and for a few of you, you're wondering, how do I get on this path that I feel is closed off to me? That I feel like the road has ended before my journey has even begun. The Ten of Wands here at the bottom of the Ten of Pentacles, like the burdens never end. And there is no road, no easy way that has been paved for me. I almost feel a sense of suffering, a sense of... this has been the road my entire life, where there is no road. I almost see like an uphill battle. Like I've always carried these wands. Am I destined to have this Ten of Pentacles? Not just in regards to material and financial abundance, but in regards to this idea of like a happily ever after. A notion of a happily ever after. Okay, I see what's going on here. Okay, for some of you, you're wondering, was this road ever meant for me? Would I ever get a cup? Would a lover ever present themselves to me with this offer, right? Perhaps this feeling of always being cursed in love. The road was never there. The road was never paved for love, for family, right? Feeling excluded from this dream, from this fairy tale. Like this fairy tale only applies to certain people. And I'm not one of those people that this type of happy stuff applies to. Very, very interesting. I see for some of you as well that this actually has to do with finding this abundance and this stability, but doing it in a way where you feel like you are living out your true purpose. If you haven't seen it by the time that this video comes out, fingers crossed, either the video before this one or the video 2 or 3 days after this one posts will be about your purpose and your career. If that is where you are feeling ambivalent, where you're like, I don't even know what the road is to get to this thing, that might be a video that you might want to see. This idea of purpose, of our place in the world. Perhaps you feel like your purpose has been abandoned. When I say that, I mean almost like this sense of all of these other people have been instilled with a path. They know the path that they're on. And mine just ends. Mine is just a block. There's no way to get home here. There's no way to get to a sense of myself where I feel at home. I only see burdens and hurdles and this barren wasteland where other people might be making this fairy tale happen for themselves. At the beginning of the spread, we have the Four of Cups. Yeah. I think that a lot of this has to do with material abundance, that financial stability, finding your purpose. But some of you, this has to do with love, love, love. And this feeling like the road ends at a cliff. There's nowhere to go. There's no lover at the other side. There's no path to a lover. That path isn't meant for me. And that belief in and of itself is the blockage. We have to know that the universe carves out these special things for us, that every one of us is worthy regardless of where it is that we have come from, regardless of the burdens that we've had to overcome. This home, this financial abundance, this love, the only person that can limit whether you have it or not is you. And I feel very strongly that you might be doing that here with this Four of Cups. Now, again, this, you might not know that you're blocking it in this way, but let me explain in a little bit more depth what I mean by that with this Four of Cups. Now, the Four of Cups certainly represents an emotional state, right? It can represent depression. It can represent sadness, apathy, boredom. It certainly can represent overindulgence, drinking our pain away, drinking our apathy away, right? Eating it away, whatever vice that we can find in order to fulfill that what we feel is vacant within us, okay? Now, for this particular card, the Four of Cups, we have been through things, we have experienced, we have touched the chalice. And perhaps we feel like we've never been able to actually drink. I almost get like the Seven of Cups energy from this idea that you see cups, you see them in movies, you read about them in romance novels. You see these people living this adventurous, beautiful life, this fairy tale-like existence. And you think, why can't I have that? It must be something about me. And you look back at your history and you're like, yeah, I never really was the type of person that was meant to have the fairy tale. Now, perhaps, right, you have gotten close and you've tasted the nectar inside of these three cups. And every single time it's ended up the same. Every single time that you've tried to work to this Ten of Pentacles, you've ended in this Ten of Wands, a painful, burdensome ending, right? That leaves you feeling this idea of like even fleeting here with the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is considered a bit of an inconsistent knight, right? In and out, in for a minute, a moment, a rush, and then disappears the next day. Perhaps you've had lovers that have done this, right? If love is the thing that you're looking for, even in financial success, you've gotten on the path and you thought this is the way, and then that ends up badly. That ends up being more burden than you feel that you could have carried. These paths end up ending career-wise and monetarily wise, okay? What I see here is perhaps you've had three experiences where you've tasted the nectar, you've tasted the cup, you've gotten so close to the dream. And every time you do, it tastes the same or it ends the same. And the universe is here. The universe is saying, I have this cup for you. I have a new path. I want you to get excited about this cup. And I feel, honestly, pile number 4, that the roadblock here, the roadblock to this love, to family, to material abundance, to your purpose, you are the block. Now, I want to be very careful with how I say that, right? Because as you know, I make it a point to deliver as much as I can from a loving place. If you do not even think that the future is possible, that there is hope in it for you, you are the block. Sometimes we are the cup that is in our own way, right? In this instance, I want to show that to you here, okay? In this particular representation of the Four of Cups, the universe brings another opportunity for you on a cloud. And it says, try this cup. This cup might be the cup of love that you are looking for. This might be the beginning of something that leads to marriage. The thing that you've been praying for, that you've been asking to quench your thirst, that you've been looking up to the sky for and saying, universe, will you ever send me a lover? Will you ever send me this purpose? Will you make what I've dreamed up in the sky? Will you put it in my cup and bring it down below into the 3D? This page points to the ground. He says, universe, fill my cup in this realm, right? The universe is saying, well, I'm trying. You see, this cup, I've delivered it, this fourth cup, just for you. Now notice in this particular representation of the Four of Cups, you are not there. In the traditional Four of Cups imagery, a person sits with their arms crossed across their chest, right? This idea of being defensive, of rejecting the cup. You're not even rejecting the cup. You haven't even shown up to see it. This is a vacant landscape, and the universe brings this cup to nobody. One of the things that I feel is a blockage here is our belief that a cup is even available. The universe here, I feel very strongly, is saying, look up, look up, look up. You're begging for a cup. You're saying, bring this love, bring this purpose, bring this stability to me right now. And the universe is saying, well, it's already here. You just have to look up. But you're not in this place. You're not even in the picture. You have to show up to the things that you tell the universe that you want. You are the roadblock. A very different reading than the other piles. Now, does that mean you're a bad person? Does that mean there's something wrong with you? Does that make you a failure? No. There's something about faith here that is at the center, that is at the core, the Hierophant, the Pope, the priest, whatever, the shaman, right? There's so many ways that we can illustrate what this card means. You have to come back into your faith. Faith in yourself, faith in your purpose, and faith that the universe is not saying no, that you are not like cursed to this pathless existence while everybody else gets to dance and eat and play and be with family and have beautiful homes and have financial abundance. You are not blocked from that thing. There's something about you having the faith again. We have to renew faith. We have to fall in love again. We have to banish apathy. And we have to take the first step to say, you know what, universe, I choose to believe. I choose to have faith. And here I am, after all this ending, after all this burden, here I am ready with the cup. You don't need to bring the cup to me anymore. I'll bring the cup, you just fill it, please. Bring that here. I see that we need to reconnect with our faith here. For some of you, that certainly could be in a religious context, but I see this as hope. I see this very much as this idea of hope. That there is a path for you, that the universe has a purpose for you in life. Instead of feeling like, nope, I lost it, I lost purpose, I lost faith. It's almost like you don't need a road. There's grass here, right? You don't need this road to continue. You can easily walk down the side of the ramp and you can make your own road. You can travel to this home with no road in sight, purely on faith. You don't need a yellow brick road. I see that here. This yellow brick road. These pentacles. Perhaps the blockage is thinking that you have to have one thing in order to have the other. I'll never have a lover if I don't have the money. I'll never have a family if I don't have the love. Well, you can have a lover with no money, right? You can certainly have a family with no partner. We are rewriting the rules on what family means, right? There are plenty of people that have a family without a partner. And there's something about you creating this roadblock when it's very easy to get around. It's almost like you're telling yourself there is no path. Very, very interesting. We need to reconnect with faith. Again, this doesn't have to be in a religious context. This is operating off of the place of, I don't even want to think about love. I don't even want to think about family. I don't want to think about purpose. I don't want to think about building this anymore, because I've tried it before and it didn't work out. So that's it. But the universe has so many more chances here for you, so many more opportunities. We have to believe. We have to believe that they exist. Notice how the Hierophant, the faith, leads us to taking the first step as a page and raising our cup and asking again, okay, universe, maybe the fourth time is the charm, right? Okay, universe, here's that cup again. Fill it up. The blockage is the belief here. We need to come back into contact with our faith. That there is a road for us, a path for us, a destiny for us, a purpose for us. And we can start by raising our cup. The Page of Cups is obviously a page of communication, of heartfelt communication. Perhaps it's time. It's time to have this heartfelt communication with the universe, with yourself. To say, universe, I gotta be honest with you. I've raised this cup in the past, and I have felt so alone on the journey that I stopped showing up. I lost my belief. I lost my faith. That was weird. I always say there's no coincidences in my readings, even when I say a word by accident. I just said I lost my fate. That is something. I lost my fate. The second that we stopped believing, the path ended. That is the roadblock. This road ends where our faith ends. Our fate ends where our faith ends in this particular card. And so we see these beautiful lives, these beautiful homes, these beautiful families, right? This stability, this apex, the 10 of Pentacles. We see it in the future and we feel like we're dogs trapped in the yard. We feel like we are subhuman almost. Again, this idea that you are not the type that lives in this home. Humans do that. I belong in the yard. And I get this sense that the second that your faith stopped here, your fate stopped here as well. This idea of fulfilling our destiny, of moving towards home. Home being this thing that we're trying to manifest. Maybe a literal home, right? The second we stopped believing in fate, the second that we lost our faith, we lost the fate. I didn't do this for the other piles, but I want to get more on that, on fate. Clarify, thinking about how I want to ask this. Clarify lost fate, please. For pile number 4, clarify lost fate. Clarify lost fate. For pile number 4, please. Look at this. Look at this. You've got the 4 of Swords. and the Star card. This is hope. This is renewal. This is your belief in wish fulfillment here. You could be an Aquarius, right? This Four of Swords is a very, again, another interesting interpretation of the Four of Swords. This idea of dwelling, this idea of taking so much time to think and be consumed by negative thoughts. Notice that this particular representation of the Four of Swords, you are this fourth sword. You lay almost like a martyr. You've made a martyr of yourself here. You lay like a martyr here under the Three of Swords. You have chosen to stay in this place. Most representations, right, of the Four of Swords, it's somebody in a meditative state, speaking, airing grievances. This is often considered like the therapist couch, right? About things, about the future. This is different though. See, you rest under heartbreak, under the Three of Swords, under three swords. You've chosen this as your lying place. You've chosen this as where you choose to rest. Now, that might not be on purpose, right? Nobody wants to be in pain. Nobody wants to be under the weight of three swords, especially not in the tarot, right? But the reason that we're stuck here is because we refuse to believe. That is the first step, to wish, to have faith. I get when you wish upon a star. I also get Don't Stop Believing, that song. The seeker here, what you seek is seeking you. If you've stopped seeking, your world gets smaller and smaller. Normally I see something quite different here with the seeker card, but I almost get this feeling of claustrophobia here. Like you perhaps might feel like the world is closing in on you. This is always Virgo for me as a reader, this seeker card. You've spent so much time in the cave as the hermit, right? And you've spent so much time overthinking these three swords that you aren't even showing up for the next opportunity. You've lost faith that a cup is here for you. Again, I hate to phrase it this way, but my guides are telling me to. You are the roadblock. That doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you a little stuck. We got to shake ourselves awake. We have to acknowledge that, right? That's the first step. It's like they say the first step is admitting that you have a problem, right? That's the first step. Where have you lost hope? When did you stop wishing? When did you decide, I'll rest under these three swords? Even these three swords look like this roadblock. It's interesting. The way they're all lined up, stopping us from getting into the green. Even here, stopping us from getting home. This is something that perhaps you've been stuck in for some time, because I see this tree decaying. Very, very interesting. We've spent so much time under the weight of these three swords that we're starting to feel closed in. And notice that the seeker gets on his knees, almost as if to pray, right? This is our need to get reconnected with our faith. Again, you don't have to believe in any kind of religion. When I say reconnected with our faith, I mean falling back in love with the playful idea that is the universe. I remember a personal reading that I did for somebody once, where the charm that they had picked was a tennis racket. And the main idea that I got from the spread was the universe asking for this person to serve the ball. And when you serve the ball, the universe will hit it back. It was very much this situation of a volley. right? The universe wants you to play with it. But first you have to pick up the racket. And then you have to hit the ball. You have to serve the ball. That is the only time that the universe can hit it back to you. We have to believe. We have to fall in love with that idea again, that when I hit a ball out, when I put my cup out, okay? When I put my cup out or hit this tennis ball, the universe is going to respond. We have to regain our faith that there is somebody on the other side. Whether that's a god, whether that's the universe, whether that's a goddess, whether that's just you. Reconnecting with yourself on the other side, with yourself as a child, open and free and light again and ready to play. We have to recenter ourselves around this faith that there is something beautiful in our fate. Okay? We have to play the game. Once we serve the ball, the universe will serve it back. In other words, once we build an inch of the road that this, where is that card? Oh, I shuffled them, sorry. Once we build an inch of road for ourselves, the universe will build an inch of road on the other side. From that image on that Ten of Pentacles, right? Where those dogs were blocked. If we can push the boulder 1 inch, the universe will build a path 1 inch on the other side. It's a game. But first, you have to show up. And I can understand how hard that would be to do that with the weight of 3 swords on top of you. I can understand how that would affect your faith, how that would make you stop wishing on these stars. But it's time to get on your knees and to get reacquainted with your faith before the world closes in on you and you run out of opportunities. It's time to look up. It's time to look up because the universe has a cup for you. I see a transformation here with the Death card. Even here with the King of Swords. This is Scorpio energy. There's a coldness, a calculated cutting of this thing. And in fact, it's almost like perhaps you're telling the analytical side of your brain, the side that keeps you in this place, right? Enough. I often say with this King of Swords that it looks like he's flipping off the past. And perhaps that's what you need to do. That 10 of Wands that we had seen before, right? Saying, you know what? It doesn't always have to be like this. And you re-emerging in my thoughts, saying that it does, enough. F you, F the past. We're on to the good now. We're on to the newness now. We are removing this roadblock ourselves. The roadblock is me. The roadblock is belief. I'm going to believe that this is possible, that this is my purpose, that this is my path, and I'm going to show up. And I'm going to dare to ask again, to wish again. And when I do, the universe will deliver. Believing that, okay? We have to focus a little deeper on our belief that there is something working on our behalf out there, right? On the basic laws of attraction, the basic laws of the universe. This idea of seeking, like attracts like, right? If you are in this space or in this space, you will attract this to you. It's time to reemerge with hope, with faith. And look where faith leads. Faith leads to a new cup, right? That's what faith looks at. That is what we need to believe in. Let's get an affirmation, please, for pile number 4. For my believers. For pile number 4, please, one affirmation regarding this message, regarding the future, regarding our faith in fate. clarity. Very, very interesting. This idea of rainy days, right? This is a very poignant card as well for this particular spread. This idea that just because it's raining doesn't mean it's raining because it's a curse on you. Sometimes it just rains, right? We're not taking that personally. We're not using that as some reflection on who we are or what it is that we deserve. Here is clarity for my screenshotters. Clarity. Stopping to listen to my inner self, I can easily separate my intuition from my mental chatter. Mental chatter, right? The clarity of my intuition is a sweet, simple fruit that tastes familiar. And the mental chatter is a confusing, bitter rind that I shall peel off and chuck into the garbage or compost heap if your mental chatter happens to be organic. I'm going to read that again because we could not have picked a better affirmation for you. Stopping to listen to my inner self, I can easily separate my intuition from my mental chatter. The clarity of my intuition is a sweet, simple fruit that tastes familiar. And the mental chatter is a confusing, bitter rind that I shall peel off and chuck into the garbage or the compost heap if your mental chatter happens to be organic. We are the blockage here for pile number 4. We need to throw away the chatter, the mental chatter that keeps us here, that stops us from having the faith to show up, to raise our cup, and to ask for that thing that will open up the road. That will, it's like you can't even build the road to it if you don't believe that there is an it there, out there for you. We have to work on our belief in what we deserve. And I often say the universe has set something aside for all of us. And all we have to do is claim it. All we have to do is claim the cup in this particular instance, right? I'm picking my words here, because I know there's something sensitive about this particular pile. Okay. Nothing that the universe has set out for you can be taken from you. The only person that can take away the blessings that are set for you in this faded future is you. By refusing to play, by refusing to accept another cup, by laying stagnant underneath this 3 of Swords, and by not having the faith to lift our cup up again and ask, universe, fill my cup. And believing, right, that there will be a reciprocation, there will be a tennis ball that comes out of the darkness back to us when we shoot the tennis ball forward. Okay? I'd like to get an oracle card, a message from the universe specifically in regards to this particular pile, in regards to this blockage, what the universe wants you to hear right now. So pile number 4, please. What message do you have for my believers? Stillness. We also got mysticism and anima. Anima is very much this idea of embracing the feminine, our softness, our sweetness, just like here. Not letting ourselves be wrapped up in jaded spaces because other situations from the past haven't worked out. Having hope that there is something beautiful and sweet and loving and perfect for you here in the future, like this Page of Cups waits for. Okay? And then the idea of mysticism, believing in magic. How fitting, right? believing that magic is reachable to you, that you can reach into the cosmos, and that the cosmos reaches back, that you have this beautiful reciprocal relationship with the universe. I'm going to pull the book up for you here on stillness. I believe we pulled this for pile number... Which pile was that? Pile number 2. This pile number 2 might resonate with you. You might want to check that one out as well, okay? Because I'm pretty certain that they got this card as well. Alrighty, stillness. The practice of stillness is a return to the germinal state of potential, where we can hear the heartbeat of nature and enter into slow time, the quiet place of reflection and contemplation that allows you to observe the primal at work in the world and within you, and search out its vital essentials. All we need is here before us, waiting in stillness. This idea that while you're perhaps in this place where you refuse to believe that the things that you want are right there. Very interesting. All we need is here before us, waiting in stillness, happy to reveal and gift us its wanted simple pleasures and indispensable companionship, if we simply take the time to open ourselves to its quiet, rejuvenating essence, faith, belief, right? Your key words for this card are rest, contemplation, regroup, meditative, and natural. Perhaps it is time to rework our mental chatter here. When we listen to our inner selves in this moment of stillness, in these moments of stillness, right? Do we fill our heads? Do we fill this stillness with visions of cups gone bad, of opportunities missed? And in that, in filling our space, our stillness with these cups that don't feel like a fit for us, do we not make room in our psyche, in our minds, for this, for fate, for faith, and for love, for opportunity, for the dream? I could see this as wanting marriage. I could see this as wanting children, right? With the Hierophant and the Page here. I could see this as an apathy towards this idea of building home, of building stability. There's so many ways that this could apply. The path is there whether you walk it or not. It's like that saying, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody is around to hear it, did it ever actually fall, right? Just because you've refused to believe in a path to fate doesn't mean that you're not on the path nonetheless, right? Now, what fate is it that we choose to believe in? Because fate is never final. So if we change what we think about fate from this to this, if we let faith push us to the sweetness instead of the bitter rind, like it says on this clarity card, then we can remove this roadblock and we can find our way home. A very interesting message for you, pile number 4. I'm very curious to get your thoughts on this. One of the more serious, right, piles in the pick a card. How does this relate to you and what it is that you're trying to achieve and obtain? And do you feel like perhaps you are in this Four of Cups state, or you've forgotten to look up playfully, like this Page of Cups, a very interesting reading. Regardless, I wish you luck with this, with sitting in the stillness and letting these beautiful sweet thoughts consume you instead of these, right? That was your reading. I'm so grateful, pile number 4, that you spent some time with me today. I hope that this gave you something to think about at a minimum, right? And perhaps this hope, that this confirmation that you needed, right? That the universe just wants you to believe in it again, and to put your cup out, to get ready to play. Again, I wish you luck, and hopefully I see you in the next video. Bye-bye.